Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Jennifer Lowry on the podcast. She's an IFBB figure pro. She's a wife. She's a mom of 4, if you can believe that or not. She's also a personal trainer, and she's coming to us again as our current guest, actually. So, Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what inspired you to adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle?
Well, I've always been into running and a lot of cardio type stuff. Just growing up, I did track but after I had my 4 kids, had a little bit of postpartum depression, and I knew that fitness was one of those things that people always said would make you feel better, right? I know that's not an answer for always, but I knew for me it did. So I just found like an online program, like it's just a random like pay for it for from some other mom who had lost weight, and I did that for a little bit and had a little bit of weightlifting, and that's when I first kind of got a taste of weightlifting, and I really enjoyed the way it made me feel. The endorphins, it made me happy. I was a better mom. So that was just like the get my toe in the water kind of thing.
That's awesome. And I always like to say, if you were to even walk into a gym with 100 people, there's 100 different ways as to how those people got in shape, whether it comes to their nutrition, their diet, how many reps they do, what exercises they do. Every little thing adds up to the final package that you end up seeing. Was that hard for you sort of when you were getting started to figure out what worked best for your body? Because I always like to say, if you were to walk up to someone and say like, wow, this body part of yours looks amazing. Like, what do you do to train for that? What works best for them 99% of the time isn't going to work as good for you.
Yeah, I tried a lot of things actually. Like I did CrossFit for a couple of years, which I loved, and tried a little bit of weightlifting. I did a triathlon, so I tried a lot of different things to see what I liked and what my body responded to. And when it came down to it, I was pretty successful in bodybuilding, and it just worked out for me, and my body adapted to that really well. So I did just try a lot of different things first, just to see.
Yeah. So when you were also getting started, one of the big myths that we always like to bust is that, it's gotten a lot better the last 5 years with Instagram, but still there are a lot of women that believe if they just touch one weight, they're going to just hulk up and, become Dwayne The Rock Johnson overnight. Going from being a runner where, you're a lot more leaner, you're a lot more toned. Was that something that you had to overcome? Was that a fear that you didn't want to get like super bulky? And even if it wasn't, I bet you hear that all the time now, especially also being a personal trainer. What is your main response to that?
Yeah, I actually am genetically pretty lean, so when I came into this, I looked like a stick figure kind of. So I know personally how hard it is to put on muscle. And so when people say that to me, a lot of people say that to me, "Oh, I get bulky." In fact, a lot of people tell me they don't want to look like me, which is funny. I don't get offended, but
And then you always just got to say, don't worry, you won't.
exactly. I'm like, you have to eat so much food. You have to train so heavy. Like it takes years. If you were to pick up a weight, I did CrossFit for 2 years, and that's a lot of like heavy Olympic lifting. Did not put on a ton of muscle because I didn't have the diet figured out, and that's a big part of it. So I just think like you have to do a lot of work to put on muscle, a lot. So if
especially for women too, especially yes.
Yes, and I think a lot of people come into it thinking like, well, I have really big legs, so if I train legs, they're gonna get huge. I'm like, no, because your legs are probably not muscle. Like they're not muscular big. They might have a little fat on them, which is, it's just what it is. So when you build muscle, you'll burn that fat, and actually legs will get smaller.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I believe me, I get you 100% when you're talking about, just being genetically skinny. I'm 6'3", and I had that pitcher's body. So I was, just kind of almost like a twig, almost. I had a little bit of muscle on me, but, for me, yeah, putting on muscle was a huge, huge process. I started like 6 years ago, and I still probably only put on about 20 to 30 pounds from my original weight. So it's just a really time process. So yeah, I completely understand. And I always love to tell the story of when I was in college, getting bigger and stronger. One of my good friends, she would always come up to me and say, like, Ryan, I know you're getting bigger and stronger. I kind of want to go to the gym too and work out, but I'm just afraid that I'm just like the typical, girl complaint. We had a section at our gym where the lower level was the weights, and that would be, only about 2 women would be in there. And then they had the upper floor track where all the cardio machines were too. And then it would just be, night and day who was up there. So she would always be up on the cardio tracks, but then she would, come to me and say like, yeah, I don't want to get too big or too bulky. And then finally one night I just told her, look, the amount of weight that you carry in your purse when we go out to clubs or when we go out to eat weighs more than a lot of the dumbbells in the gym, and you're not getting bigger from lugging that thing around at all. And that sort of finally convinced her. And it's just one of those things where you just got to realize, I mean, as soon as you get to the gym and as soon as you touch that weight, I mean, it's like, it's not going to happen. The amount of, hard work and dedication like it takes that people like Jen here have to do in order to look that way. 99.9% of people, first of all, don't have that willpower to do it or that dedication to do it. And second of all, I mean, it's just not that many people are like you said, are looking for that look. So it's like, it's not going to happen. I mean, I cannot stress that enough. And then also, I mean, how long into your journey before you realize like, hey, I could do a bodybuilding show? Like I might look the part, because we have a lot of people where a lot of their motivation and inspiration comes from people coming up to them and just saying like, wow, do you compete? Like, you look amazing. What was that story like for you?
Well, I guess it was always kind of in the back of my mind once I started doing more
Mhm,
fitness stuff, but more because I wanted to have a reason to look like that.
mhm,
Like a lot of people say they want to get in shape and look like those girls on stage, but I knew for me, I would actually have to get on stage
mhm.
to actually look like that, because
Yep.
otherwise I wouldn't have followed through with the diet and all that. So I guess I wanted a goal. I got to the point where I was just like, I just want a goal.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I always love to ask, because everyone seems to have, I mean, everyone has that one area that when they first start working out that really, really takes off, that one body part that really takes off where they don't have to train as much. And then on the flip side, I mean, everyone always has that one body part that they just need to train into overdrive just to get it to catch up with everything. What are those body parts for you?
my quads are
Mhm,
like, I hardly ever train quads. They were just there. And I'm sure that's like genetic and a lot of
mhm.
other things I've done. But basically, I had to grow everything else except for quads. Everything else I needed to grow. So,
Yep.
shoulders, hamstrings, glutes,
Yep.
back, but never
Yeah.
really had to train quads, which is just one of those things.
Yep. I mean, for me personally, I mean, my back has just been genetically like I could train back like once a month and it'll still look like, I compete in, I mean, I've never competed or anything, but it would still I would look like I have a competitor's back, which is, I mean, I don't get that. But yeah, I mean, for me, legs, just because, being that tall and that lanky. And I'm also one of those people that was not blessed to have nice calves. So I have small calves too. I could do 100,000 calf raises a day. Nothing would ever happen. So, I mean, we have all these people on the show that when I ask them that question, they'll be like, oh yeah, my calves are just genetically huge. And I'm like, I want to cut the podcast right then, because I was like, I'm done. I'm done talking to you. I'm too jealous. It's like we're done here. But yeah, I mean, so many people. I mean, quads. That's definitely a lucky thing to definitely count your blessings on that. Just because,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate leg day, but I have to do it, twice a week now, just in order to get it to catch up to everything else. But when you were getting started for your first show, I always sort of like to make the statement that, I mean, a lot of people when they're getting in shape for the first time, just to get into that look where they might even be able to compete, that takes so much effort for them in and of themselves when it comes to their diet and their nutrition. I mean, it's very, very hard on them. But then when you go into your first prep, that is notching everything up to just a huge level when it comes to, your dedication. You got to get your workouts done on time. You got to get the right nutrition. You sometimes got to eat it the right amount of time, the time frame, and just what you're eating. It's so scientific, and you have to just have such a great determination and willpower. What was that experience like for you during your first prep?
Um, Prep is hard. I think everyone knows that is involved in this. For me, as soon as I started, I literally like I followed it like to a T. I followed my diet. Like I never cheated. I did all my workout, and I just thought that's what everyone did.
Mhm.
Like because I just assumed like, oh, that's what you do. Here's your rules. You follow it. You get it done. It was hard, but I saw in the end that like a lot of people don't actually aren't able to do that.
Mhm.
I didn't know any different.
Mhm.
And it was really hard, but I didn't realize that like some people cheat on their diet and some
Mhm.
people don't follow through with their cardio. And to me, I just like, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. So I was like, hey, I'm doing this 100%. We
Yep.
do this. So it was hard, especially with kids. And, I just didn't know what to expect. But I learned a lot that first prep about like giving up things like going out with friends
Mhm.
and saying no. And like, that was just like, it's kind of empowering
Yep.
because it's like you realize I can say no and I can follow this 100% and I can do this and everything's gonna be okay. Like
Mhm.
at the end of this is a reward of just getting up on stage and looking your very best and
Mhm.
doing your very best. And at that after that, the people who love you the most are still gonna ask you to hang out and they're
Mhm.
still gonna want to be around you. So it was okay to say no to like going out and that stuff was hard, but
Yeah. I mean, and I always say that makes everything so much more worthwhile, especially when you do step on that stage and say, like all the times that I said no, all of that dedication. I mean, it really just brings it more into perspective and it makes you feel also like you've earned it. And that's just a really great feeling. But I mean, I always got to ask, I mean, as everyone already knows, I'm a very pale individual myself from the upper Midwest all the way up in Minnesota. What was that experience like for you putting that tan on for the first time and even putting on that tan now? Because a lot of people that we have on just talk about, like you see muscles that you don't even know that you ever had. Everything really seems to pop out. What is that experience like for you?
I mean, really, I wish I could walk around looking like that all the
Yep.
time out the tan.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's actually like from the time you get it on, it's usually like freezing cold
Mm-hmm.
and you're standing there like naked, which sucks. And so it's super uncomfortable. And then once
Mm-hmm.
you get it on, you can't put deodorant on. You can't really do anything. You can't sit down. You just feel sticky and gross,
Mm-hmm.
and smelly, and it's like I remember after I did my Vegas show, the Olympia Amateur, like the very first thing I wanted to do after it was over is shower it off. Like I couldn't stand it anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
just had to get it off. So
Yeah.
it's super uncomfortable, but I mean, it does make it look good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, I always love to ask that question because so many people just don't realize what goes on to get that look where people just assume that, oh, hey, they must just like put like a tanner on and everything just must be fine. It's like, nope, you can't put deodorant on. Like she said, that's why I always tell people do not go backstage unless you want to, smell what death smells like back there or whatever it smells like, just because no one's had anything on. So, I mean, yeah, everyone just, I mean, so that's why I just love, talking about that because people just don't realize the dedication, not just with the training and the nutrition that goes on, but just everything else. But then also, probably the number one thing, other than, the nutrition, the working out, but even for some people, the hardest thing is the posing. Was that something that was really a big difficulty for you to sort of get into and master? And I mean, you can't even really master it because I compare it to driving, where you can be an excellent driver. You can never be a perfect driver. You can be an excellent poser. You can never be a perfect poser because it's ever evolving and it just depends. I mean, it's just something that you can never really perfect. But what was that process like for you the first time doing the posing and how has it sort of evolved? Has it gotten easier for you?
Definitely, I was so horrible at posing at first. So horrible. I ended up hiring a private posing
Mm-hmm.
coach to help me, and even I think I said we did like from in the last 2 years we've done like 27 private posing sessions.
Wow.
But and I still feel like I need work, so much work. But I have gotten a lot better and I do feel a lot more comfortable on stage and it's a lot more natural feeling. But yeah, that was actually one of my hardest things because it did not come natural. And I don't think it really does come natural to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like standing in a pose on stage with your muscles out and actually it's hard. It hurts. You're shaking, you're sweating. So it's difficult, but
Oh,
it has better and it does get easier the more you do it. But
Oh yeah, it's just like with the muscle memory thing, and also like you said, with the hurting thing. Most people don't realize some of these competitors sweat even more during their posing sessions than they do in their actual workouts because, like you said, people don't realize you're flexing everything at the same time, and you just got to get your angles right and everything. I mean, it's just such a hard struggle that, again, like I always say, a lot of people just don't understand because some people just assume that like, oh, you just go up there and you pose and stuff, but it's like no, the amount of hard work and I mean, just the practice that has to go into it. Like I said, you're paying for a lot of people do pay for their own, private posing coaches or just posing coaches in general. And it's just it's another one of those things that I really just love to bring, awareness to because a lot of people just they just look at bodybuilding, they just think that it's just one simple easy thing, but no, it's so many little things that have
yeah,
to go into it. But now, probably one of my favorite questions to ask. I mean, I have a lot of up and coming bands and a lot of health and fitness, bodybuilder competitors. And this question sort of applies to both. For my bands, I always sort of love to ask, what is that feeling like performing live on stage, and what's that thrill like? I feel that also applies to the competitors that I have on as well. What is that feeling like for you? Like you said, you've been dieting down, you've been prepping for months on end, just basically going through a living hell, which is the best thing that I can really compare it to. And what is that feeling like when all of that is finally worn off and you're finally able to go out and step out on stage and show off, all that hard work? What is that feeling like for you?
it's like it's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
I get stage fright, but it's terrifying and exhilarating all at the same time. It's like it's a huge rush because it happens really fast. So it's like you spend all this time getting ready for it, and then you're on stage for like 5 minutes, and then it's over. But there's just a rush of adrenaline, and it's a good feeling just knowing like all your hard work is like there, right there on that stage. Still terrifying to me,
Oh
even
yeah.
after.
Yeah, I mean, I did. We had a funny story. So at my high school, we had a thing called the man pageant, which was kind of like it was a fake beauty pageant thing that all the money donated was like for cancer, and so I did. If you've ever seen, the SNL, the Chris Farley Chippendales sketch. Where he did the Chippendales dance, so I did that with a friend as my sketch, and that was nervous enough just for me getting up on that because it was, it wasn't during school hours, but it was, a lot of the school came to see it, so we had like we had almost 1,000 people packed in a little auditorium watching it, so yeah, it was that was really hard for me in and of itself. So yeah, I got a little sliver of what it must feel like, to be up on stage all by yourself. But yeah, so that's definitely my experience. But now, I mean, a lot of people don't realize too that when you guys are up on stage, it's you guys are sort of at your leanest. It's not a sustainable look. I mean, so many people that we've heard on, or even friends that come up to me say like, "Oh, these people that must have on the show, they must be, just jacked and ripped, 365 days out of the year." They don't realize it's not a sustainable look. You sort of manipulate your body through all the dieting and through all the working out into that unsustainable look. And a lot of people just get really depressed because they don't realize, especially first time competitors, that you're going to have to put on weight afterwards. You're not going to be able to stay that lean, especially for women. Guys might be able to keep it on for a little bit longer, but they will eventually have to put on weight too. But especially for women, was that a hard process for you at first when you sort of realized, like, hey, I am not going to be able to look like this forever? Even though I work my butt off for months, it's a look that isn't going to be sustainable. Because we have so many people that get, like I mentioned before, like depressed and anxious because they aren't able to, like, sort of mentally accept that fact. Was that a struggle for you at all?
I guess for me, I wanted to gain muscle so bad after my first show because I was small that I didn't feel too horrible about gaining because I knew that's what I needed to do in order to. But I get it because it's like you get a lot more attention and you get a lot, people are a lot more interested in you when you look a certain way.
Mhm.
And it kind of dies down when you like start to gain weight back. And I think that like the thrill of the show kind of wears off and people are kind of like, no, what do I do now?
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it is hard for a lot of women to know that, but, like, honestly, like, the way that you feel when you look that
Mhm.
way is not worth it. Like,
Oh.
I'm so much happier when I'm eating more, I can lift heavier, I'm stronger, it just my mental I'm mentally more aware, so I think, like, those things that come from, like, having a little more weight on me
Mhm.
are worth it to me.
Yep, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, all the people we've had on the show, especially that live up in the super colder climates, talk about how you're going to get even colder when you look like that too, because you're just so lean that your body can't really heat up as well when you're getting into the cold outside temperatures. That's why, like during this season, I like to put on, about 5-10 pounds of fat, just in order to help me survive a little bit more so that I can, get through it. But yeah, and plus, I have trained with people that are, in their prep, and I can just say their tempers are a little bit shorter than there are when they haven't been. But I know that's completely prep brain. That's from being. So yeah, I like to tell them, I was like, we'll train maybe a little bit more after, a few months after your show. Then we'll get into that. But yeah, I mean, it's just. Yeah, it's so much hard work, but like I said, it's not sustainable. But it's also, it's just a natural thing. It's just a natural part of the whole process where you're gonna have to put on weight, and for me personally, I would just love that just because I can finally get to eat again, and that kind of leads us on to probably one of my favorite questions too. What is your go-to post-show meal?
Mm. The last few I mean, I love Reese's,
Mhm.
so, like, almost every show I have, like, a Reese's in my bag
Ooh.
after. Like, I immediately get off stage and
Mhm.
eat it. But then, like, post-show, I usually am like, I really like pizza or anything like just pizza, carbs,
Mhm.
cheese, stuff that I haven't had in a long time
Oh
that
yeah,
makes
that's
me feel
awesome.
really yucky afterwards.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, that's yeah. It's that would probably be one of the first. I mean, I probably have like a Five Guys or something like that too. Just a huge
Yeah.
burger is probably what I'd get. But now, I mean, you have your pro card. How long into it before you finally got your pro card, and what was that experience like? Because for a lot of people out there who aren't really familiar with bodybuilding, pro card is one of the highest things that you can achieve. I mean, that means that you can compete at the pro level. That means that you've sort of made it. What was that experience like for you?
It was very, very surreal. Like, I had no expectations going into that show 'cause I'd done one other pro qualifying show, so
Mhm.
this is really my 2nd national
Oh
show.
wow.
I never really done a show that big. So I just went into it, like, hoping to
Mhm.
not do horrible,
Mhm.
and then to actually win, like, it was just I can't it's still unbelievable to me, like, I can't even believe that happened, so it was pretty amazing.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
really awesome.
That yeah, I mean, just I mean, so many people. I mean, we've had people on here that I mean, and you were at your second show too, so that's still really, really early because we've had a few people that were like at their first show, and I was like, okay, that's just. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, but just winning in that early on was that really just a huge. I mean, like you said, it was a huge shock because I mean, it's so early, and we've had people on that have taken like a decade to get their pro card, where it's just so long for them. When you earned it so quickly, was that really one of those things where it was just a huge eye opener for you? Where you're like, hey, I can actually do really well in this.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, I always doubt myself, like, always. I always think I'm never gonna be good enough. I'm never, and I think a lot of people do. And so it always surprises me when I do well. And so when it happens, I'm just like, well, maybe, right? Maybe I'm good at this. Maybe I can
Mhm,
do this. Maybe I should continue this,
mhm,
because you just,
yeah.
I don't know. I wish that I could see it from an outside perspective,
Mhm. Oh
but
yeah.
winning does help.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, and that for the motivation, that's I mean, that can give you 100% of the motivation right there. It's just winning. But I mean, these next two questions are probably my two favorite ones. And for the first one, I mean, when I started getting bigger and stronger in college, the one negative thing that I started to notice was that you're going to get asked to move a lot of people's furniture. You're going to get asked to open a lot of pickle jars. I mean, I'm still at home with my parents for the next few months before I move out, and whenever they come home with groceries, being the nice son that I am, I carry in all the groceries, but I basically have to lift the car into the driveway with it because I do all the lifting. Is that something that you've sort of found out too, or just because people see you and they just see that the way that you look and they just assume that you can do favors for them?
Uh, I do. I mean, more so, it's like my kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're always saying like, "Well, you have really big muscles. Why can't you do like why can't you do that, mom?"
Yeah, I always
And
gotta say, like my last summer, especially since I was at that age now where all my friends were moving out, almost every other weekend it would be a text where they'd just be like, "Hey Ryan, I was wondering if you can help me move and lift all this, my furniture, or whatever." And it got to the point where I mean, I did accept that they did realize that I work out a lot, and I did appreciate sort of it was sort of a backhanded compliment because they do want you to do all the work, heavy lifting for them, but they are sort of saying like, "Oh, we know that you could have," but also for me it's a double edged sword because I'm also like I said 6'3", so just having no muscle at all and walking around, people just be like, "Oh yeah, he can do stuff for you." So I mean,
he's
it's
big.
double the questions. But I mean, I always tell my friends now, it's like as long as I get to do it after my workout, I'm not doing it before my workout because I'm not going to get tired by carrying around all of your stuff, so that I won't get my workout in. But yeah, so it's definitely it's gotten to a point where I did really accept it. But now, I mean, probably my favorite question to ask is when it comes to clothes for fit women, this is a multi-million dollar idea. I mean, your clothing options can be limited. I always like to say, if you have big shoulders, dresses are out of the picture. Jeans are another thing that we hear of where it's almost impossible to find the right pair. What are some ways that you have sort of compensated for the fact that your clothing options can be limited?
Well, I mean, if I wear jeans, they have to be stretchy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I just, as long as I can only stretch around my legs so that the waist fits. Um, I just wear a lot of tank tops, and actually, that's like the only thing that fits my shoulders.
Hey, if I had arms like that, I'd be wearing tank tops all the time. I mean, I'd be plowing out in Minnesota. I'd be snow throwing like a -20, and I'd still be rocking, tank tops. I'd be bundled up in everything else. But yeah, I mean, and like I say, it's a multi-million
It
dollar idea for anyone out there. I've had two guys that design fashion on there, and I told them I was like, I have fit women and fit guys on the show. I was like, for bodybuilders, you got to design something for bodybuilders. That's a multi-million dollar idea. So I mean,
Yeah,
hopefully they get on that because, like I always say, just buying. And I've had some people that like work in office settings too, and that's just a big enough
uh,
difficulty for them in and of themselves. Finding those office clothes where they aren't ripping them constantly. Like I always like to tell the story when I got back from college, I'd put on about 15, 20 pounds of muscle my first year and a half, and I had a friend's wedding that I went to, and when I put on the stuff, it was a little tight, but I was like, oh, I think I could manage. And then during the service, I had to bend over. It was the shirt inside my suit ripped. Luckily, it wasn't the suit, so the shirt inside ripped. So I was still able to, get away with it because it wasn't too bad. But yeah, that's when I kind of realized, like, hey, I might need to get some new clothes because I have gotten a little bit too bigger for my old sizes. So yeah, that's definitely something that I really had to discover myself.
you
But
need
now,
everything to be stretchy.
oh yeah. Everything, yeah. You need to get everything to, yeah. Everything needs to be stretchy, or you just gotta, especially the jean thing for women. I mean, it's like, yeah, you gotta get stretchy pants because I mean, it's just your body's just not proportionally meant to have like normal size jeans. I mean, that's just that, yeah. That's just something that I love. I love to talk about too, just in case anyone out there you're designing clothes, get on it. But now, I mean, you're a mom of four, and just saying that, I mean, I'm just like, okay, I really need to step up my gym game because it's like it's ridiculous. But being a mom of four, I mean, I always like to say, that's a hard enough job in and of itself. That's a full time job being a mom. How is your time management? Because I mean, having four kids, being a personal trainer, and still maintaining that healthy lifestyle. What is your time? What is your average day like, and how are you able to fit those workouts in?
Like when I'm in prep, I would get up at 4:30 in the morning to do
Ugh.
cardio. So, I mean, I just have to accept that I have to like give up sleep
Yep.
a little bit, go to bed earlier.
Mhm.
I chose a gym to work out at that had a daycare, which
Yep.
helped when I could take my kids in. A lot of times I would do my workouts at night after they went to bed. And I hate working out at night, but it's just like when you can do it, right? So a typical day in prep, I would wake up, do fasted cardio, get my kids to
Mhm.
school, go to work, come home, help them with their homework, get them dinner, and then get them ready for bed, and then go to the gym.
Oof.
So it was hard. Then I'd have
Yeah.
to go to bed like as soon as I got home. So like really, there's no like downtime or like me time. It's just like go, go,
Yeah.
go. If I want to get it all
Yeah.
done.
Do you have to take anything, especially to go to sleep? Because for me, I prefer to work out a little bit later at night. But when I work out at night, I mean, I can't go to sleep for at least 3 to 4 hours afterwards because my body's just so pumped up from the workout where just I can't fall asleep. Have you like taken anything to like help you fall asleep, or has it just gotten to a point where you are just super tired from not getting enough sleep the night before that you're just like, okay, you just hit the bed as soon as you come home?
I'm pretty tired. Like sometimes, I might take like a melatonin or
Yeah.
something. If I'm waking up at 4 in the morning, then I'm already really tired. So
Yeah.
for me, it's more about staying awake during the day.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, one of my favorite guests that I had on, I had the number one sleep specialist on the planet calling from the UK. He's a teacher at Oxford, and I mean, first of all, he had one of those British accents where you felt like you gained 10 IQ points just from talking to him, just because he felt so. Like I was like, just keep talking. I feel like I'm getting smarter by the minute just talking to you. So, and then he was talking about because I told him I was like, yeah, I have a few, people that bodybuild or people that are really into the health and fitness aspect, and for them, sleep is a huge thing. Where for muscle recovery, that's probably the number one thing sleep wise that helps is for muscle recovery. And I know, like you said, a lot of my guests on here, though, they do not get the proper amounts of sleep, especially the ones that have kids or especially the ones that, either might work night jobs or something. Sleep is a very rough struggle for them. So, how do you sort of compensate for that? I mean, because sleep is so important when it comes to muscle recovery and being able to, keep that constant working out going. Do you just sort of overdose on caffeine, basically, or what are some other ways that you sort of do in order to keep yourself motivated?
Well, I think I just listen to my body. Like there's
Mhm.
sometimes where I should be going to the gym, but I'm so tired. And I know, like, if I'm weighing in, like, is it more important for me to sleep today? Or is it more important for me to go to the gym? And sometimes that means just staying home and going to bed early.
Yep.
And so, like, if I get to a point where I'm so exhausted, my body doesn't feel like I can, do a proper workout, then I think like sleep is more important today.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I'll skip my workout that day. And I don't think a lot of people like are okay with skipping a workout.
Yeah.
Then sometimes they overtrain and then they're. So I
Hmm.
just I just it's more of like in like listen to my body, like how do I feel today if I can, but I do try to go to bed earlier, as much as I can, but
I can't agree with you more, and thank you for finally saying that. Like you do skip some of your workouts because of that. Because we have so many people that claim that they don't, and I was like, okay, you're lying. You've skipped a few workouts when you haven't like slept. Because I have to say, I mean, I have trained both when I haven't eaten anything that day, and it's been like in the middle of the day just because I didn't have enough time to get something to eat, and that's a hard enough workout in and of itself. But I have to say, the hardest workouts I've ever had, I've done it twice, I'm never doing it again, was on the nights where I didn't get any sleep the night before. That is the hardest workout I have ever done in my entire life. Just getting that. I mean, yeah, I just felt like I was going to die. I was at college and I pulled an all-nighter to study, and then I went to the gym at like 5 in the morning and worked out. And that was the hardest workout where I was only able to. I normally worked out for like an hour and 15. I was only able to go for like 45 minutes, and I was like, yep, I'm done. Screw this. Like, I need to go back and get some sleep. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's almost like a waste, like your
yeah.
body's not ready for
Well,
that.
yeah, and
So
it was for me. I knew that it was kind of going to be a waste, but it was for me just so I could say that I did my workout for the day, so that I could so I wouldn't have to worry about it.
you like post
Yes,
selfie.
yeah.
I'm just
So
kidding.
luckily, I didn't have a class until like 10, so I went back and got like 3 hours of sleep, and then I got up from my class and was still dead. But yeah, I mean, it was ridiculous. But yeah, so I recommend anyone who thinks that that's not difficult enough, definitely try that, and that's super hard. But what do your kids think about having a mom that competes and a mom that's really muscular? Is it one of those things that they think it's really really cool, or what's their opinion of it?
I think they think it's cool.
Mhm.
I started this when they were young, and so I think that's kind of all they know.
Mhm.
They get really excited when I'm in prep when they'll say like, "For my birthday, when will you have cake with us? That's all I want for my birthday is cake with you."
Yeah.
So they see like they know like in prep I don't eat that stuff,
Mhm.
but they love it when I do
Mhm.
come off prep and I'm able to like eat that with them. But I think they get pretty excited. They like to watch the shows when they're streamed,
Mhm.
and I think they're pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
So For
That's
now. We'll
oh
see.
yeah, yeah. We'll see as they get older because a lot of things that when we have competitors on who have kids that are in their late teens or whatever, and a lot of especially some of the boys like to sort of say like, oh, your mom is more muscular than my dad or stuff like that, and that they get those type of comments where I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, because one of the huge things, to be completely honest, that I love having especially muscular women on the show is because I feel that a lot of the time people don't look when they see you walking down the street, like if you're wearing what you're wearing right now and they see you walking down the street, they aren't able to look past the muscle and realize that there's an actual human being deep down beneath that. They just look at your arms and they're like, oh my god, that's what, like, because they're not used to seeing that. So, and human beings are very visual creatures, so if we see something that we're not used to seeing, it kind of, we can kind of like, double take, and we're not able to, get past that. So that's why I love having especially muscular women and muscular guys come on the show, because people don't realize, their stories deep down. They don't realize that, like I said, there's an actual human being down there that's just like everyone else. They just might spend more time in the gym. They just might be more muscular than you are, but I mean, they're just still a human being deep down, and they're not just like a big thing of muscle that like a lot of people sometimes tend to like categorize them in. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's especially with the kids too. That's why I love having especially the moms that come on, because that can be such a positive influence on the kids where they realize like, hey, this can be normal, or this is something that's cool, like having a mom that's like that. So
Yeah.
that's what I really really love. But now, I mean, being a personal trainer, what is probably the number one excuse that you hear from people as to not wanting to adapt that healthy and fit lifestyle?
Time.
Yep.
It's all time. It's hard to prioritize that, because we're all busy.
Mhm.
Like everyone is busy, especially, and I have a lot of mom clients,
Mhm.
and they have kids and jobs, and they're busy, and I get that.
Mhm.
But the biggest excuse is probably time. They just feel like they don't have the time to do all of it, but that's when you have to make it.
Absolutely. And I always say, I mean, we've had nurses on here that work 14-hour shifts that are still able to get their workouts in. I mean, it's all about just how much you want it and the drive. Because I always like to say, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Everyone does. Except I will give maybe guys like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, where, I mean, how he's able to still look that good and still get all those movie roles done. He might be the one guy that has like 27 hours where, I mean, we got to talk to him and definitely see his secret. But yeah, I mean, everyone else besides him probably has, the same 24 hours. So 100%. I mean, that's definitely one of the big things that I hear that's 95% of the time. That's the one that I hear too, is time. Or one of the things is just like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, then that's why you go to the gym and get a trainer, buddy. That's how it works out. But now, I mean, we go to the favorite part of the podcast for the audience and me personally myself, our getting to know you part of the podcast, where I'm going to ask Jennifer here about a dozen or so questions and see how she stacks up to all the other health and fitness guests that we've had on the show. So for our first question, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
Um, I I always go to like Apple iTunes
Mhm.
and go to their like top 40 pop. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know, and that's like I put it on repeat like over and over.
That's awesome. Me personally, I'm one of those old school where I love 80s music, like the cheesy 80s music that I'll blast, 90% of the time, or 70s music, like I'll have the Eagles or just any of those rock bands that I have on. I love, and I mean, I've had some bands on here that have opened for some of those bands, which is really really cool to talk to, because I was like, oh, I listen to those bands all the time when I work out. But for me, I also sometimes got to do like the old school, like I'll have like my Metallica or my Iron Maiden, just the heavy metal stuff. When especially when I'm doing like a back day or doing a chest day where I know it's going to be hard. But I have a problem too where I mean, luckily, excuse me. Luckily, I have a gym downstairs that I work out at like 75% of the time. But when I do go to a normal gym, I'm one of those people where I got to wait for the beat to drop in a song. So let's say I'm doing like lat pull downs. I might be just like waiting there for like 30 seconds, just like this. And people have come up to me and they're like, hey, is everything all right? Like, did you like pull a muscle or something like that? I was like, oh, no, everything's cool. I'm just waiting for the beat to drop. So yeah, that's the one thing where I mean, I've been trying to edit those songs so that like it automatically just goes right to the beat dropping part. So I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that's definitely my one problem. But now,
Like I like the beat drops.
oh yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's like it gives me the motivation too for when the beat drops, and then you're like, "Oh yeah," especially for some of these hard rock songs where it really comes in, then you feel like, I mean, I've done studies, I mean, and I know that there are studies that have supported, though, like when your body does have like good music on it, you can lift up to like 10% more than it would be from just doing nothing, because it can really, like, especially for guys, it can really work up the testosterone and really like pump you up. So that's why I love to do it, especially if I'm doing like a heavy lift. That's what I love to do. But now, out of all of the celebrities on the planet, if you could work out with any celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard one. Um, Celebrity, like TV celebrity or
Well, it could be either or. It could be a fitness celebrity, it could be a TV celebrity, movie celebrity. It doesn't really matter.
hmm. Okay, this is really cheesy,
Mhm.
but like I used to really love The Biggest Loser.
Yep.
And, like, I really love Jillian Michaels, even though I know it's so cheesy,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, she really motivated me just watching how she, like, worked with other people and motivated them,
Mm-hmm.
and I really love the way that she did that, so, I don't know, I'd love to meet her one day.
That's a great get. That's the first time we've actually had Jillian Michaels on, and yeah, she would be great to work out. I do have one pet peeve with that show though, and it comes down to the point of you see all these people go on there and they lose like 150 pounds and then they gain back 200 pounds after the show's
Yeah,
over because they don't teach those people the right ways on how to keep that weight off. All they
yeah,
do is they get these really extremely obese people and they work them out for 12 hours a day. And obviously, I mean, you can eat whatever you want if you're working out 12 hours a day and
yeah.
you're going to lose a tremendous amount of weight just from, I mean, just you're going to be burning tens of thousands of calories every day. And when these people get back, they don't realize like, oh, hey, I might need to have to lay off what I was eating before because it's not going to be sustainable. So then they just gain on all these weight. So that's my biggest pet peeve with like the show, like The Biggest Loser. I used to love it until I realized like what was happening to these contestants after they. I mean, but let's face it. I mean, I love seeing like that little 5 foot tall Jillian Michaels yelling at some of these big like
I know.
350-pound guys. Yeah,
My
that's
friends are gonna make fun of me for saying that.
Oh
You should
no, Jillian
cut it out.
Michaels, Jillian Michaels, Jillian Michaels is great. We've had, believe me, and it's great to have a variety because, like I've said, Dwayne the Rock Johnson has been our answer 95% of the time. So anytime we get an answer other than that, I'm more than happy to hear it. So everyone, yeah, Jillian Michaels. But now, out of all the celebrities on the planet, if you could train any celebrity, who would it be?
Mm, uh, like, if I could train any celebrity, probably just pick someone I'd, like, wanna hang out with,
Hmm.
which would probably be someone who's really funny, like Tina Fey,
Yep.
like, just so I could, like, hang out and
Hmm.
laugh and work out with someone who's, like, really funny.
Yep. I gotta say, we get comedians a lot here. We get like Tina Fey's, Kevin Hart's, Ellen DeGeneres. But the only problem with that is, like you said, you are not going to be able to get a good workout in with them because you're going to get the best ab workout of all time just because from all the laughing. But that's the best thing that you're going to get. I mean, for me, yeah, that would be similar. But yeah, having them as a workout guest would be awesome too. But now, what is one item that you always need to have in your fridge?
Mm, chicken.
Yep.
I always have, just meat because chicken, ground turkey. Because
Mhm.
if I don't have that, then I don't have a protein source really, and I eat a lot of protein, so
Yep. Oh,
that's really
obviously, yeah, obviously.
really boring, but
Yep.
I always
Oh
chicken.
no. That is our most popular answer by far. Chicken and eggs are basically our two
Oh,
most popular answers. And one of the weird things that I found out from especially having a lot of like of the guy bodybuilders on is mustard is a lot of the answers that I get too because it's low in it has like 0 calories, 0 fat. So you got to put that on your chicken to add flavoring to it. And I always tell them I was like, you might want to reevaluate your life if you have to put mustard on your chicken in order for it to taste good. But that's just a whole different topic. I mean, I used to be a huge mustard guy, but not anymore. I've switched over to team ketchup for sure. But now, what is one thing that all the people who follow you on Instagram would be surprised to know about you if they met you in person?
um, shoot, I am very, very organized with my food
Hmm.
and my workouts, like, very structured, but, like, my car is a total mess. Like, it's a wreck. Like, there's, like, bottles everywhere, like, water bottles, food containers, sweatshirts, like, it's a mess. So, uh, I always say, like, when you have to, like, prioritize something, if I am always eating healthy and getting my meal prep done, then other things get let go, and that's, like, a clean car.
I work at UPS and I'm a supervisor, so I'm in charge of about 20 people. And I have even had times where people look at my car when I'm leaving and they look at what's in the back and they assume that I'm homeless and I live out of my car just by taking a look at it. They're like, Ryan, are you doing so good, like money wise? Like, are you like in debt or whatever? And I'm like, oh no, that's just my car. And they're like, oh, it looks like you live in there basically because like everything. And when I know that like I ever have to drive friends, if I'm ever like sober cabbing or doing anything, I mean the cleaning process takes me a good hour just to get everything cleaned out, to get the car vacuumed so it looks presentable. So yeah, same thing with me. My car is completely a total mess. But now, what was the last TV show that you binge watched?
Um, binge watch. I like last year I did watch Sex and the City like
Mm,
all the way through. I don't remember why, but I just got stuck on it. And it was an older one.
yep,
It's an older show.
yep.
And then I've watched like, other things here and there, but that's the last one I like binge
Hmm.
binge watch.
And now, what is your favorite TV show of all time?
Hmm. I'm so basic. Like, I love, Friends
Yep.
and The Office.
Hmm.
Anything that makes me laugh.
So you're gonna love this then, because on Wednesday we are having the lady that played Ross's first wife, Carol, the lesbian, on from Friends. I've been emailing her the last like 3 months. We finally figured out a date. I mean, we've had dates and then they've canceled, and then we had dates and canceled. But I mean, she's really busy. She started her own charity, and that's why I started emailing her. I was like, you can come on and talk about your charity. But we finally have it like written in stone this Wednesday, and then it'll probably be released about New Year's Day, I think, is when I'll be able to get it released. But yeah, I even told her, I
Uh,
said, you do realize though half the questions are gonna be Friends questions, right? And she goes, "Oh yeah, I get that all the time. No worries." So I've been coming up with like the 30 to 40 best friends questions. So I'll definitely send you a link to that when that gets released, because
yeah,
I'm sending it to like everyone, because I mean everyone loves that. But yeah, I'm super excited. Jane Sibbett will be on Wednesday, so I'll definitely keep you updated on that. But now, what is your guilty pleasure movie that you enjoy?
movie,
Yeah.
they said. Um, I have this movie that I watched from, like, childhood to now, and I still watch it, like, every year, is still Magnolias. Have you heard of
Ooh,
that?
yeah, I've seen it.
Because it's funny, like, Dolly Parton is hilarious, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also, like, really sad and
Mm-hmm.
meaningful. It just has, like, all the feels, and for some reason, I just love it. Like, I
Is
wanna watch
is that
it.
also the one with the girl from Smokey and the Bandit on too? Sally Fisher or whatever her name is.
Yes, Sally,
Yeah.
uh, Field.
Sally Fields. Yeah, Sally Fields. Yeah.
Sally Field and then Julia Roberts.
Yep,
It's
yep.
so old, it's, like, from the '80s.
Oh no, I have seen it. I've never seen the whole thing intact, but like if I'm flipping through a channel and I see it, I might watch it for like 15 minutes. But yeah, I've never seen the whole version of it. But yeah, I've seen parts of it. And yeah, that's a good one. I mean, believe it or not, my movie is also from the 80s. So again, all of my guy friends, close your ears. I'm never going to admit this in person, but Princess Bride. It's my guilty
That's a
pleasure
good
movie.
one.
I know that's my ultimate date night movie. That's my ultimate. I was typing my final thesis paper in college, and that movie came on, and I stopped what I was doing, and I watched that movie for 2 hours. That's how. I mean, I know most of the lines. Yeah. That movie. It comes on. I stop whatever I'm doing, and I watch it. I mean, I absolutely love that. But now, what is one thing about the sport of bodybuilding that you would change if you had the all-knowing power to do so?
Um, I feel like I wish there was a way to have, like, set guidelines, say, like, figure is this, and it will always be this,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like every few years it changes a little bit, and then it goes back, and then it changes, like, I wish there was a guideline, a set guideline that they always followed and never changed, but, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just but
Oh yeah, we hear that all the time, because like for different judges, everything is different. What has to look good? I mean, it's such a process in and of itself. So yeah, if that could happen too, I mean, that's from all that I've heard too. I completely agree. But now, what is one thing? I mean, if you or never mind. So in three, so that's my one mess up. I always have one mess up at each throughout each podcast. So we got that one. So I'm just writing the time down so I know when to edit it out. But now in three, two, one. So now, if you could go back in time and talk to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice you would give her?
um, I would tell myself, like, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter because in 10 years, you're not even gonna know the same people, and even in 10 years, it still doesn't matter what those people think of you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it never matters what other people think of you, just, like, love yourself,
Oh,
and you can do great things.
oh, absolutely. I mean, I completely agree with that. So now we're done with the questionnaire part. I mean, I had two final questions, but those questions I'm trying to zone them out. So I'm trying to come up with two new questions. So we'll just skip those. But now, so I mean, what is your current prep like? I mean, are you preparing for a show at all? What was the last show that you competed? Do you have any dates in mind of when you're going to be on the stage again?
So I just did nationals in November
Mhm.
in Florida, and right now I'm just, trying to, work on some things, but, I'm tentatively thinking of, doing a pro show in the fall.
Mhm.
Next fall, but I don't know, maybe September, but, it's not set in stone yet.
Mhm. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, definitely keep us posted. And is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Um, I have a really amazing coach.
Hmm.
His name is Big John. He owns Big John Fitness,
Great
and
name.
yeah, he's big too.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, but, he's a great mentor. He always is patient with me and answers
Mhm.
all my questions and has prepped me through all my shows, and he's a great friend.
Mhm.
So him, and then, of course, my family, my husband,
Mhm.
he helps me so much, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah. And I mean,
without
you
him.
and I mean,
So
you've been super inspiring this whole podcast, and you've embarrassed us a lot. But can you embarrass us? Can you give us a flex real quick? And I was just gonna say, everyone, she's a mom of four. Everyone, I mean, look at.
okay, well,
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? It's like she's a mom of four. Come on, that's I mean, okay, yeah, putting us all to shame. So again, you guys, Jennifer Lowry, I highly, highly recommend you go and give her a follow on Instagram. I'll leave all of her links down below. Jennifer, we cannot thank you enough for coming on the podcast. Really great guest and super, super inspiring to talk to you. And like I said, I wish you nothing but the best in all of your future competitions. I mean, I think you're gonna do great. I mean, you look so good. So again, you guys, Jennifer Lowry, go and follow her down below. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.